First contact with the fragile. The U.S. Resilient drifted silently through the Carina Nebula, its adaptive hull absorbing the rainbow dance of stellar radiation. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's observation window, her weathered hands clasped behind her back. 20 years of deep space exploration had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now, every nerve in her body screamed that something was wrong. Another energy signature, Captain. Lieutenant Maya Patol reported from her sensor station. Same pattern as the others. It's like someone screaming in light. Sarah turned from the window, her dark eyes narrowing. Location: 3 light minutes out, bearing 047. But it's different this time. Maya's fingers danced across her holographic interface. The signature isn't fading like the others. It's pulsing. Regular intervals. A pattern. Sarah murmured. Humanity had learned long ago that patterns meant intelligence. Helm. Set course. Full stealth protocols. The Resilient's quantum drives hummed to life, pushing the ship through the nebula's swirling gases. As they approached the source, the bridge crew fell silent. On the main display, something crystalline glittered in the darkness, a structure that couldn't be natural. Life signs? Sarah asked. Dr. James Morrison, the ship's xenobiologist, leaned forward at his station. Incredible. The entire structure is alive. Or rather, it's made up of living crystals. The energy patterns we're detecting. They're not just signals. They're neural activity. Beings of living crystal. Sarah's mind raced with the implications. In the 50 years since humanity had joined the galactic community, they'd encountered countless species. But this was different. These beings weren't just alien. They were beautiful. A violent flash of light interrupted her thoughts. The bridge crew shielded their eyes as a massive vessel emerged from FTL travel, its hull bristling with cutting tools and collection tanks. Sarah recognized the design. Harvester ships, industrial vessels used throughout the galaxy for resource collection. They're attacking the crystal structure. Maya's voice rose with alarm. They're cutting into it. Sarah watched in horror as the harvester ship extended its tools. The crystal structure's light patterns changed, becoming erratic, desperate. Those weren't just signals. They were screams. Battle stations, Sarah ordered, her voice hard. Weapons, target their cutting apparatus. Precise shots only. Captain, her first officer, Commander David Rodriguez, stepped forward. The Galactic Council's non-intervention protocols don't apply to piracy. Sarah finished. And that's exactly what this is. Fire. The Resilient's point defense lasers lanced out, surgically severing the harvester's cutting tools. The larger ship reeled back, its crew clearly surprised by the intervention. We're being hailed, Maya reported. A harsh voice filled the bridge. This is harvester control. You are interfering with a legally sanctioned resource collection. Stand down immediately. Sarah's reply was ice cold. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the U.S. Resilient. We are recording evidence of your attack on a sentient species. Stand down and prepare to be boarded, or we will be forced to take more decisive action. The harvester ship's response was to launch a volley of plasma torpedoes. They dissipated harmlessly against the Resilient's shields. Shields designed to withstand the crushing pressure of gas giant storms. The harvesters had made a critical mistake. They'd assumed all species were as fragile as their usual victims. Target their engines, Sarah ordered. Show them what a ship built on a heavy gravity world can do. The Resilient's main gun spoke, not with energy weapons that could be deflected, but with tungsten rounds accelerated to relativistic speeds. The harvester ship's shields, designed for industrial hazards, might as well have been tissue paper. As the crippled harvester vessel drifted powerless, Sarah turned her attention back to the crystal structure. Its light patterns had changed again, forming complex, repeating sequences. They're trying to communicate, Dr. Morrison announced. The patterns, they're mathematical. They're teaching us their language in real time. Sarah smiled. This was why humanity had come to the stars, not to conquer, not to harvest, but to meet, to learn, to protect. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Let's show them that not all species from high-gravity worlds are monsters." The next few hours were a crash course in xenodiplomacy. The crystalline beings called themselves the Nebulans, and they were far from alone. Throughout the galaxy, species that had evolved in gentle environments were being hunted, harvested for unique biological features that fetched high prices in black markets. The harvesters weren't independent operators. They were part of a vast network that reached into the highest levels of galactic society. Sarah sent her report to Earth Command that night, knowing it would change everything. Humanity had fought its way up from a harsh world, evolving strength that many species feared. Now they would use that strength for its true purpose, to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. As she recorded her log, the Nebulan structure pulsed with patterns of hope. Outside her window, more Earth ships were arriving, drawn by her distress call. The harvesters had thought they were untouchable. They were about to learn that they had made a terrible mistake. They had finally given humanity a reason to fight. The age of the harvesters was ending. The age of the protectors was about to begin. The alliance of steel and stardust. The U.S. Resilience Conference Room was never designed to accommodate crystalline beings, but they'd managed. Captain Sarah Chen watched as the Nebulan Elder, a complex lattice of living crystal named First Light of Dawn, hung suspended in a modified gravity field. Around the table sat representatives from 3 other heavy gravity worlds: a massive Urchin with steel-gray fur, a serpentine drachnid whose scales shifted colors with each movement, and a silicon-based titanite whose rocky form made even humans look fragile. "The harvester network is larger than we imagined," Sarah explained, projecting the data they'd extracted from the captured ship. "They're operating in 17 different sectors, targeting species that evolved in low-gravity environments." The Urchin, Commander Grigor, rumbled deep in his chest. "They take advantage of those who cannot fight back. This ends now." "It's not that simple," the Drachnid representative, Cyrex, interjected. Her scales flickered with patterns of concern. "The harvesters have protection from within the Galactic Council itself. Any direct action could be seen as rebellion." First Light of Dawn pulsed with urgent patterns. Dr. Morrison, now fluent in Nebulan light speech, translated. "They say more of their people are being taken even now. Other crystal cities have gone dark. We don't have time for politics." Sarah stood, her earth-born muscles having no trouble in the ship's artificial gravity. "Then we make time. The harvesters expect us to play by their rules. Bureaucratic delays, endless debates, while more innocent species suffer. Instead, we're going to change the game." She activated the room's holographic display, showing a complex network of trade routes and hidden bases. "Thanks to the Nebulan's ability to detect quantum disturbances, we've located 3 major harvester processing centers. They think they're safe because they operate in low-gravity environments where heavy worlders traditionally can't maneuver." The Titanite, who called herself Mountain Breaker, spoke in rhythmic vibrations that the ship's AI translated. "They forget that we evolved to overcome such limitations. Human ingenuity, Urchin strength, Drachnid agility, Titanite resilience. Together, we are more than the sum of our parts." Sarah nodded. "Exactly. Dr. Morrison, show them what we've developed." The xenobiologist activated a side screen, displaying schematics for a new type of combat suit. "By combining Nebulan crystal tech with our gravity manipulation systems, we've created adaptive armor that can function in any gravitational environment. The crystals naturally regulate energy flow, allowing for perfect balance even in 0G. First Light of Dawn pulsed with excitement, their patterns almost too quick to translate. "Our cities can serve as amplifiers for your ship's gravitational fields. Where harvesters bring destruction, we can bring stability. A shield of light and strength." Grigor mused, his massive paws touching the holographic designs with surprising gentleness. "But the harvesters will not sit idle while we prepare. As if summoned by his words, the ship's alert system blared. Lieutenant Patel's voice came through the comm. "Captain, multiple harvester signatures detected. They're attacking a nearby crystal city." Sarah was already moving. "How many?" "5 ships, heavy cutters. They're using some kind of disruption field. The city's lights are dimming. They're trying to silence them before they can call for help." Cyrex hissed, scales turning battle red. "My ship stands ready." "As does mine," Grigor growled. "Then let's show them what this alliance can do," Sarah declared. "All ships, battle positions. Morrison, get that prototype armor ready. We're field testing it now." The next hour was chaos. The harvester ships, confident in their superior numbers, found themselves facing an enemy they couldn't comprehend. The resilient human crew, wearing the prototype crystal-enhanced armor, moved through zero-G spaces with impossible precision. Urgent boarding parties tore through hull plating like paper. Drachnid ships danced through debris fields that would shred normal vessels, their crystal-enhanced sensors allowing perfect navigation. But it was the Nebulons themselves who turned the tide. As the battle raged, their city structure began to pulse with coordinated patterns. The crystal tech in the Allies' ships and armor resonated in response, creating a network of synchronized gravity fields. Suddenly, the harvesters found their ships caught in pockets of crushing gravity. Their crews, unable to move as Earth normal gravity, asserted itself in their engineered low-G environments. "Harvester ships disabled," Maya reported triumphantly. "Their crews are surrendering." Sarah watched through the bridge window as rescue ships moved in to secure the Crystal City. The Nebulon's light patterns had changed, no longer just beautiful, but powerful. They had discovered their own strength, turned their very nature into a weapon of defense. "Send word to Earth Command," she ordered. "Operation Crystal Shield is a success. We're ready to begin full production of the enhanced armor and ships. And get me a secure channel to our new allies. We need to plan our next move." As she turned back to the conference room, Sarah caught her reflection in a crystal panel. The person looking back wasn't just a starship captain anymore. She was becoming something else, something the galaxy desperately needed. A protector, a defender of those who had never learned to defend themselves. The Harvesters had created this alliance through their own cruelty. Now they would learn what happens when the strong choose to protect rather than exploit. The real war was about to begin. And this time, the light would not fade into darkness. Underground resistance, deep within the Horsehead Nebula, the U.S. Resilient drifted silently through a maze of dark matter clouds. The ship's crystal-enhanced sensors, guided by Nebulon expertise, penetrated depths that had hidden secrets for millennia. Captain Sarah Chen studied the readings with growing amazement. There, Dr. Morrison pointed to a cluster of energy signatures, just like First Light of Dawn described. "The radiation patterns are identical to extinct species we've documented, except they're not extinct at all." The signals were coming from what appeared to be natural formations in the nebula, asteroids, gas pockets, dark matter knots. But nature didn't create such perfect patterns. These were hiding places, sanctuary zones where hunted species had learned to survive. "Incoming transmission," Lieutenant Patil announced. "It's unlike anything I've seen before. Multiple layers of encryption, but there's something familiar about the base code." "Put it through," Sarah ordered. The bridge speakers came alive with a symphony of sounds, clicks, whistles, electromagnetic pulses, and light patterns all woven together into a complex message. "It's a coalition," Morrison breathed, his cynobiological instruments dancing with data. Different species working together, each adding their own layer of communication. The Harvesters didn't just drive them into hiding. They forced them to evolve, to adapt. Sarah leaned forward. "Can you respond?" "Better than that." Morrison adjusted their crystal-enhanced communications array. "The Nebulon protocols we developed. They can translate all of it. These species, they're asking for help. They've been watching us, watching how we protected the crystal cities." The message they sent back was simple. "We are here to help. You are not alone anymore." The response was immediate. The seemingly empty region of space came alive with activity. Hidden doorways opened in asteroids. Cloaking fields dropped, revealing structures that had been invisible for generations. And ships, elegant vessels designed to be invisible rather than powerful, emerged from their hiding places. The beings they met over the next few days shattered every preconception about what life could be. The Lumini, creatures of pure energy who had been hunted for their ability to power starships. The Quantum Dancers, microscopic hive minds who could process data faster than any computer. The Storm Singers, gas-based entities who could shape and control atmospheric phenomena. Each species had a story of persecution, of being hunted for their unique abilities. Each had found ways to survive, to hide, to preserve what they could of their civilization. And each had watched as humanity and their heavy world allies had begun to fight back against the Harvesters. In a makeshift council chamber, a repurposed asteroid hollow that could accommodate all their varied forms, representatives gathered to share what they knew. A Lumini Elder, their energy form contained within a specially designed field, spoke first. "The Harvesters are not just criminals. They communicated through the crystal tech translators. They are the enforcement arm of something much larger, the Galactic Council's dominant species. They fear what they cannot control. Any species too different, too unique, becomes a target." "But why?" Sarah asked. "Why murder entire civilizations for profit?" A quantum dancer swarm shifted, forming complex patterns that the translators rendered into words. "Because they believe that the galaxy belongs to normal species, those who evolved along predictable lines. We represent chaos to them, unpredictability. They harvest us because they fear us, and they fear us because they cannot understand us." Commander Rodriguez, who had been quietly analyzing data, spoke up. "Captain, these records the Storm Singers provided, they go back thousands of years. This isn't just genocide. It's systematic reshaping of galactic civilization." Sarah felt cold anger settling in her chest. Earth had evolved in isolation, protected by its heavy gravity and extreme conditions. How many beautiful, unique species had been lost while humanity was still learning to make fire? "No more," she declared. "We've been reactive, protecting individual targets. It's time to take the fight to them." She turned to the assembled representatives. "Your greatest strength isn't your unique abilities. It's that they think you're beaten. They think you're hiding in fear. They don't realize you've been building an underground network all this time." The Storm Singers swirled in agreement, their gaseous forms creating complex eddies. "We have mapped their movements for centuries. We know their patterns, their weaknesses. And we, the Lumini Elder pulsed, have infiltrated their power systems. We can shut down their facilities from within." "The Quantum Dancers have been collecting their data," Morrison added, "storing everything they've done. Evidence that could shatter the Galactic Council's legitimacy." Sarah smiled grimly. "Then we have what we need. The Harvesters think they're hunting scattered, defenseless prey. Instead, they've created the most sophisticated resistance network in the galaxy, and now that network has allies who can fight back." She activated her ship's main display, showing the locations of other Earth vessels and their heavy world allies. "We're going to coordinate the largest synchronized strike in galactic history, not just against the Harvesters, but against every facility, every corrupt official, every part of their operation. We'll expose everything." The assembled species, each beautiful and unique in their own way, signaled agreement. They had survived in darkness for generations. Now, with the help of those the galaxy had dismissed as too aggressive, they would step into the light again. The war for the galaxy's soul was entering its final phase. The Harvesters had created their own doom, not through the enemies they'd made, but through the alliances they'd forced into being. Soon, they would learn that true strength comes not from destroying the unique, but from protecting it. The breaking storm. The Galactic Council's central chamber had never seen anything like it. As emergency alarms blared through the station's pristine corridors, Council member Vexthor watched in horror as his private communications network erupted with crisis reports. Across the galaxy, harvester operations were falling under simultaneous attack. In the Carina sector, crystal-enhanced Earth ships moved with impossible precision through asteroid fields, their heavy world crews unaffected by the shifting gravity wells that had always protected harvester bases. Ursian shock troops, their armor resonating with Nebulon technology, tore through reinforced doors designed to repel energy weapons. The Orion facility, supposedly hidden in a radioactive nebula, went dark as Lumini saboteurs emerged from its power systems, burning out control mechanisms from within. Quantum dancer swarms infiltrated computer networks, releasing centuries of documented atrocities into public channels. Storm singers wrapped harvester ships in atmospheric anomalies, trapping them in bubbles of unbreathable gas. But it was the footage from the Perseus arm that made Vexthor's scales turn pale. The U.S. Resilient led a fleet of ships that should not have been able to work together. Heavy worlders and light worlders, energy beings and silicon life, all moving in perfect coordination thanks to crystal tech enhancements. "This is impossible," he whispered. "No," a voice said behind him. This was inevitable. Captain Sarah Chen stepped out of the shadows, flanked by representatives of a dozen species the Council had declared extinct. Behind them, more figures emerged, Council security forces wearing new insignias, junior representatives who had been quietly gathering evidence, even some of Vexthor's own staff. "How long have you been planning this?" he demanded. "We didn't plan it," Sarah replied. "You did. Every species you tried to harvest, every civilization you drove into hiding. They all found each other, built networks, waited. All they needed was someone to stand with them openly." The chamber's main doors burst open. Council member Zixera, head of the security committee, rushed in with a squad of armed guards. "Arrest them," she ordered. "These humans are interfering with authorized resource management operations." Nobody moved. "Interesting choice of words," Sarah said calmly. "Resource management. Is that what you call genocide these days?" The guards looked at each other, then at the growing crowd of witnesses. One by one, they lowered their weapons. "You're starting a war," Zixera hissed. "No." First light of dawn floated into the chamber, their crystalline form pulsing with quiet authority. "We are ending one. A war you have been waging against diversity itself." Dr. Morrison stepped forward, holding a data crystal. "This contains evidence of over 3,000 separate extinction operations. Profitable, weren't they? Especially for council members who held shares in certain trading companies." Vexthor lunged for his emergency beacon, but found his limbs wouldn't move. A quantum dancer swarm had infiltrated his neural implants. "The station is secure," Commander Rodriguez reported over the comm. "Engineering reports the Lumini have control of all critical systems. Storm singers have contained the private security forces. The Drachnid fleet has surrounded the station." "You fools," Zixera spat. "The galaxy needs order. Structure. These aberrations you're protecting, they're chaotic elements. Unpredictable. They threaten the stability we've built." "The stability of a graveyard," Sarah countered. "You've been killing everything unique, everything challenging, trying to make the galaxy fit your definition of normal. But evolution doesn't work that way. Diversity isn't a threat. It's how life survives." Outside the station's windows, more ships were arriving. Earth vessels, Ursian dreadnoughts, Titanite fortress ships, and dozens of others. But mixed among them were smaller craft, elegant ships that had hidden for generations, now flying openly. "The vote is complete," a voice announced. Junior Council member Ixel, now acting as interim leader, stepped onto the main platform. "The emergency session has confirmed the evidence. Security forces are taking the compromised council members into custody." "You can't do this." Vexthor struggled against the quantum dancer's control. "We are the Council." "No," Ixal replied. "You were the Council. Now you're something else." A warning about what happens when power forgets its purpose. Sarah watched as the corrupt council members were led away. The chamber was filling with representatives of species long thought lost, each bringing their own stories, their own unique perspectives. The galaxy was about to become far more complicated and far more interesting. "Captain," Maya's voice came through her comm. "The last Harvester stronghold in the Carina sector just surrendered. The Nebulons are beginning reconstruction of the damaged crystal cities. The Lumini are offering to help redesign power systems. The Storm Singers, they're teaching us things about atmosphere generation that change everything we thought we knew about terraforming." Sarah smiled. This was what the galaxy should have been all along. Not a carefully controlled garden, but a wild, beautiful ecosystem where every species could contribute its unique strengths. "There will be chaos," Zixera warned as she was led past. "Without our control, the galaxy will become unmanageable." "Maybe," Sarah agreed, "but it will be alive. And we'll face whatever comes next together. All of us, in all our beautiful, chaotic diversity." Outside, the crystal cities pulsed with patterns of victory. Storm singers danced through nebula gases, creating displays of cosmic art. Quantum dancers processed the flood of new information as species began sharing knowledge that had been hidden for centuries. Heavy worlders and light worlders, energy beings and silicon life, all celebrating together. The breaking storm had passed. What followed would be challenging, complicated, and occasionally messy. But it would be real, and it would be free. The galaxy was about to remember what it meant to truly live. Dawn of the Protectors. 1 year after the fall of the corrupt council, the galaxy had changed in ways few could have imagined. The U.S. Resilient cruised through the transformed Galactic core, where the new council headquarters had been established. Captain Sarah Chen watched through the crystal-enhanced viewport as ships of all shapes and sizes moved through the busy space lanes. Heavy worlders and light worlders, energy beings and silicon life, all going about their business together. The former council station had been rebuilt, its sterile corridors now alive with diversity. Crystal tech from the Nebulons provided natural light and power. Storm singers maintained perfect atmospheric conditions for all species. Quantum dancers managed data networks that translated thousands of languages simultaneously. What had once been a symbol of oppression had become a celebration of life's endless variety. Approaching docking position, Lieutenant Patil announced, "The Protection Force ceremony begins in 1 hour." Sarah nodded, adjusting her new uniform. The silver and blue colors of the Galactic Protection Force replaced the old Earth Fleet insignia, a change that represented everything they'd fought for. The docking bay was a marvel of adaptive engineering. Gravity plates shifted seamlessly to accommodate different species' needs. Environmental fields merged and separated, allowing beings that breathed different atmospheres to interact safely. First light of dawn waited near the airlock, their crystalline form pulsing with welcome patterns. "The conference chamber is ready," they communicated through the now universal crystal tech translators. All representatives are assembled. The chamber itself embodied the new galactic philosophy. Gone were the rigid rows of identical seats. Instead, the space adapted to each species' needs. Gravity wells for heavy worlders, zero-G zones for energy beings, crystalline perches for silicon life forms. At the center, a holographic display showed real-time updates from Protection Force operations across the galaxy. "The last Harvester holdouts have been located," Commander Rodriguez reported, pointing to a cluster of red dots in the outer rim. "But more importantly, we found 3 more hidden species this month alone, each with their own technology, their own perspective, their own gifts to share." Dr. Morrison, now head of the Xenobiological Exchange Program, brought up detailed scans. "The biological and technological advances from cooperation are unprecedented. The Lumini's energy manipulation combined with titanite crystal structures has revolutionized power generation. Storm Singer atmospheric control paired with human terraforming techniques is transforming uninhabitable worlds into homes for displaced species. And that's just the beginning. Sarah added, watching the assembled representatives. Every species we protect, every civilization we help rebuild, adds something new to our collective knowledge. The main doors opened as Ixel, now serving as coordinator of the protection force, entered with a delegation of formerly hidden species. Among them were the Void Weavers, beings who could manipulate dark matter, and the Quantum Chorus, a species that existed partially in parallel dimensions. The Protection Force training program is exceeding expectations, Ixel announced. Heavy world species are learning to use their strength with precision, while light world species are teaching stealth and subtlety. Together, they're becoming something entirely new. A quantum dancer swarm formed into a display, showing footage from recent operations. Protection Force teams composed of multiple species working in perfect coordination, using their diverse abilities to rescue threatened civilizations, stop resource exploitation, and help emerging species join the galactic community safely. We're not just protecting the weak, Sarah observed. We're protecting the future. Every unique species, every different way of thinking, makes us all stronger. The chamber's crystal tech systems hummed as a new alert came in. An unknown signal from deep space, patterns suggesting another hidden species reaching out for the first time. They're not hiding anymore. First light of dawn pulsed. They've seen that diversity is no longer punished, but celebrated. Sarah smiled as the Protection Force ships prepared for their next mission. The galaxy was vast, and there were surely more secrets to uncover, more species to meet, more perspectives to understand. But now, when they found someone new, they could offer something better than fear and exploitation. They could offer partnership, protection, and a place in a community that valued what made them unique. The Harvesters had tried to create a galaxy of uniformity, where anything too different was destroyed. Instead, they had sparked a revolution that celebrated diversity. Humanity's role as Deathworlders had evolved from a source of fear to a foundation of protection. Their strength, combined with the gifts of countless other species, had forged something entirely new. A civilization strong enough to protect its weakest members while being enriched by their unique contributions. As the Resilient prepared for its next mission, Sarah thought about how far they'd come. The crystal cities glowed brighter than ever, their light not just beautiful now, but powerful. Storm singers danced through nebulae, turning stellar phenomena into art. Quantum dancers processed the endless stream of new discoveries as species shared knowledge that had been hidden for generations. Heavy worlders and light worlders worked side by side, each bringing their own strengths to every challenge. The age of fear was over. The dawn of the protectors had begun. And the galaxy, in all its beautiful chaotic diversity, was finally, truly alive. Protection Force, Sarah announced. Let's see who else is out there waiting to be found. The ships of the fleet, each one a testament to cooperation between different species, moved out into the depths of space. They carried with them not just weapons and shields, but something far more powerful, the promise that in this new galaxy, being different wasn't a death sentence. It was a gift to be celebrated, protected, and shared. The dawn of a new era had arrived, and it was more beautiful than anyone could have imagined.